interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Something like my wrist piece, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I wouldn't stupid to be not on it.
Watch me flex. So I am still on my journey, natural anti-inflammatory, and it's going well. I actually left my house, which I very seldom do for those that know me. Went to Tradarius Jose, otherwise known as operating as Trader Joe's, looking specifically for red fleshed apples. No one in the state of Tennessee is selling these type of apples out loud. So I think I'm going to have to do some research online and get them shipped to me because they are the bomb. So I think I've spoken of the health benefits of red fleshed apples, but I know I've probably missed the peak harvest time and being able to access these apples outside of growing them myself, which I will not do because I have a tendency to kill trees. That's my lemon trees. But we're going to see this year. So the list of available red fleshed apples: Pink Pearl, Pink Sparkle, the Lucy Glow, Thornberry, Geneva Crab, Giant Russian, Winter Red Flesh, Almada, and the Mountain Rose are red because of the high levels of anthocyanins, which are known to improve endothelial function, the vessels of your cells. If you have high blood pressure or hypercholesterolemia, this substance acts as a protective. There's a reduction in inflammation and it modulates your immune system. So these apples themselves, not only are they genuinely beautiful apples, they actually are even sweeter and they also have much health benefits. So I went on a search and seizure mission to access these apples. Lucy Glow apples are not even available anymore, or not available consistently. And again, their peak time was like November, mid-December-ish. So you're not going to find them consistently here in Tennessee, but also especially this time of year, if you do get your hands on some, they're not going to be at the peak sweetness or internally red. So the health benefits, although the health benefits are not any less with which are markedly less with white fleshed apples, the red apples or the apples of color are just more cardioprotective. So I did get the envy apples, juice them up, mix them with my celery and cucumbers, added a pinch of cracked black pepper and pink salt with a little bit of basil and lime juice for preservation of that green color. And that juice combination was off the chain, and I'm grateful that I actually got the opportunity to make that, and it was very good. Also, I've been growing my own vegetables. I am very fortunate and very blessed to be able to have a garden that I purchased inside, and I was able to harvest 2 servings of bok choy, which I put in the air fryer. And this is just another way I found it accidentally, looking for different ways to prepare it, and just adding just maybe 3 or 4 ingredients, a little bit of garlic, salt, pepper, and olive oil. And you can actually create crispy bok choy. You got to make sure that you heat it low temperature and keep an eye on it so you won't burn up your leaves. And it actually makes a very good chip. And I'm actually excited about potentially making, because looks like I'm producing a lot of kale, and I'm going to produce my kale chips and just see how that rolls. So there's so much. And then adding that, making a proper bowl, adding that as a side for stir-fried chicken cubes. This is the oven roasted chicken from Tyson. Mixing that up with a little bit of truffle oil, black truffle oil, regular mushrooms, shallots, and then probably not adding as much fish sauce as I did. The meal that I just actually had is energy, and I had some just Pellegrino with some lime, and that's what gave me, more so than a cup of coffee, gave me the energy to be able to get the energy to produce this podcast. I'm determined. It's later in the day, but I'm determined to produce all segments of it. And that is the type of meal that is a part of my whole anti-inflammatory protocol. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to eat more things like that. As I said in an earlier episode, taking that recipe, creating stir fry with seafood, and you don't have to add a whole bunch of stuff. Be careful on how much actual salt or actual fish sauce that you add, because the saline content will actually increase the taste without increasing your sodium intake and your blood pressure. A lot of this stuff is intuitive and actually tastes good. If you're going to grow your own food, you need to come up with inventive ways to actually create it. And that's the word right there.
Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. Online, on time, oh so bold. Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Friends to know and ways to grow, a temporal rainbow. I can be anything. So take a look, it's in a book, a tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. So I continue with this month's and into next month's book of the month, I Medusa by Ayana Gray. What I'm talking about is my subscription service. For a limited time, the price of the book of the month provided through my online bookstore far from Beale Street and my new venture, FB Roasters. You get either coffee or a tea of the month. You get I Medusa, and also for new subscribers, you also get a journal. Taking notes, or you could just be like I am, trifling, taking notes directly in the book, or having tons of Post-it notes. I did a small summary of that, comparing it to, because I still plan on reviewing and completing The Count of Monte Cristo, but just in time for this month's new subscription service, I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this book. I've also just watched the triggering America's Next Top Model. We're trying to get into the depths of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Ghislaine Maxwell is probably going to get parole. She's refusing to actually speak on the files. How are you going to be in jail and then plead the fifth? But I think the files basically speak for themselves. We got former Prince Andrew. He's been mentioned too many times. His actions were so egregious that fool is no longer. Not only does he's not, and it's not that he ain't even a working member of the royal family. Dude has been stripped of his titles. He ain't got jack squat. That's wild to me. It's a pervert, a predator, and they were like, yeah, we gonna get rid of his butt. Now he's been arrested again in England over the same charges, so it's even deeper than that. So I'd say all of that to say, and then Diddy, he only got 5 years, but the charges are still accumulating. We got old boy Crooked Weave that's been mentioned in the pages that have been reviewed over 1,200 times. Long-term relationship with that pervert. Again, why am I mentioning all of that? Because I Medusa, the introduction is Medusa. She shows up at probably, I'm suspecting, is the same temple that she may have been banished from. And the priest, somebody that was supposed to be there to protect her, goes to rape her. And she basically takes off her head wrap and turns him into stone. Because she's already entered in her villain stage. But now I've read the first 30 pages of my 100-page, what I'm planning on reading, the first 100 pages and giving my review on that. And I'm already 30 pages in, it's an attempted rape and a murder. So one crime is being replaced by another crime, which is wild to me. And I'm still trying to figure out why she's mortal and her parents were immortal. She describes the mother as she mourns the woman she once was into the petty woman she has become. I didn't know that Zora Neale Hurston basically said this: gods always behave like the people who make them. And that's when I understood something. Her parents were minor gods, but they were old gods. Her dad was a big deal before Poseidon and the Olympians took over that job. Her mother was also a goddess of all the sea creatures, and she was known for her the sea creatures that were killers. And it's so funny they used Mercurial, her attitude and how her temper was, which is funny because that's the same thing they clowned old Eeyore about on Real Housewives of Potomac. But I digress. So this book, starting with one crime, ending with another, and then we get into more of the backstory of Medi or Medusa. Right now, she's just Medi. But she's always been Medusa. She didn't become the monster until, I suspect, Athena, who I'm starting to think maybe Ghislaine Maxwell. And since I did give my opinion on Tyra Banks, maybe it was Tyra Banks, and maybe they basically twisted the rape, like Shandy, who they basically twisted her rape until getting ratings. That's maybe the rape, because she was eventually raped by Poseidon, who was an Olympian, beautiful, but still trash. And the people that were supposed to protect her basically okayed her becoming a monster, but she basically took back her own narrative and was on some get back. Maybe she was a Scorpio. I don't know. But this backstory is absolutely fascinating. It's dark, but it's also compelling. And it's also very well written. So now I'm at the part of the book where I'm going to pause, where there's a party, her mama being petty, drunk, daddy was drunk, Poseidon rolls through, and basically he is hooking up with one of his sister-in-laws. And she and the slave boy, Theo, are watching this through the cypress trees. And she has really no idea what's going on. She knows it's sexual, very adult. And that is when it's sounding closer to, this is a preliminary of Poseidon 1 cheating on his stunningly beautiful wife, who is also immortal, who has locks like Medusa, but hers are longer. And he still can't keep his hands to himself. But he's allowed to operate without impunity, and nobody is safe from it. It looks like he's having consensual relations, but that's his sister-in-law. It's still very gross. But he's a god, and he's allowed to act without consideration for his wife and the rest of his family member. It's wild to me. But this is her first interaction. He takes notice of her. She watches him basically hooking up with his sister-in-law. And then now it's on. We are talking about, even though these are immortals, but at this time, Medi is it is still amortal. Nobody is protecting the people that they should be protecting. Again, wild. So I've never picked up a book where I was like, damn, and I'm yelling at the book. My dog, Ethel, who's a good girl, now that I be saying, you need to punch him in the face, she be looking at me like I'm crazy. Why am I yelling at this book saying you need to punch him in the face? There's so many truths about this book, a predecessor to we know about what's getting ready to happen to Maddie and how she's been villainized. When women take back their power, they become villains, like the Wicked Witch of the West, just like Maddie, Medusa. Who's next? I'm going to need to see whose origin story is when it basically shines a humanistic light on someone that when they take their light back, their narrative back, they become villains. Maddie's sisters are gangster. They're like, look here, we know this world is not fair and we're just pawns in it. Her mortal sister basically broke it down to her. She's like, I've learned that most men are cruel. Some are just better at hiding it. She looked at Prince Mayhair, who basically sacrificed and cannibalized his own slaves, let them be mauled, etc. Basically says that men with power are always the first to be believed. She's seeing all of this. The worst thing, silence is the enemy of justice, because when you don't speak up, that violation will always continue. And Maddie said this, I'm not sure what's worse, to know a world beyond this one or to know it and still be confined. She was basically, that island that they lived on was basically like a gilded cage. And she and Theo wanted to get up out of there by any means necessary, but they were trapped. This book is gangster on so many levels, and there's so many glimpses about what is to come. And again, I'm only 38 pages in, but I'm sitting here reading this and I'm like, damn, really, girl? This book is wild, but I'm here for it. So this island, this gilded cage, really is coming off as Jeffrey Epstein's island, or that house that the billionaire in Texas bought. This is crazy to me. The parallels are crazy, but they've already been written for and rewritten for 2026. Girl, Ayana Gray, you tripping, girl. I think it's dope. It really is. What happens when you Captain Save-A-Ho for a while, when you know your sister is in for a lifetime of brutality and all she can do is wait for a dude who is mortal to die? And what would cause a mere mortal that is privileged by birth but still acts like a jackass? What are they to do? This is what Maddie and her sister Uriel are facing. Even in their godliness, they are still only women. So she is willing to exact the price of a pound of flesh from her own flesh just to get off Jeffrey Epstein's island. It's wild to me how this book on mythological creatures from eons ago is still reflecting what is going on now. Why are we still 4,000 years later doing the same crap that ancient Greeks are doing? What is this? Y'all tripping. With all of that said, that is the insanity and the absurdity of it all. We are still living in an age where when women take over their own narrative, they're basically villainized. Nobody is protecting them. even in your privilege, it doesn't protect you from somebody kicking your behind. That's what Uriel found out. She ain't even married the dude. He still basically bossed up on her because she wouldn't allow him to rape her. And then he punched her in the mouth. Boy, bye. You a lesser short man anyways. He's like the Napoleon. He's like a demigod. His granddaddy is Zeus, but he's still a bastard and he still don't have all the privileges of being a full-fledged Olympian god. He's still bossing up, making his poor lion cannibalistic and feeding his own people to a lion. Who does that? That is gross. That lion gonna have colitis and basically fall out because he been so mistreated. Girl, that's crazy to me. I finally get to as close to the 100 pages I anticipated, but I think this is a good stop-it place as far as Medusa because it is so packed and so layered. I'm up to the point where Athena rose up into this particular island who I don't know the name of per se, but I think the list of names and places in the beginning of the book will actually help me figure this out, where basically Medusa, she finally remembers that she leaves what she was trying to bribe Meher with. But it not only contained the stolen jewels from her mother's hoard of jewels, it also retained a knife that her friend Theo had also given her in the sack. She basically sacrifices her potential ire of Athena, Ares, and Zeus to protect someone that she finally tried to protect somebody. And basically, Athena saw an option that found out that she could read 4 languages. She was smart and she had valor. That's somebody that she wanted to be around. She basically told that girl to go to her temple, and she was to become a priestess to basically serve her. Her mama was like, look at here. I've always hated the Olympians, but I know I'm powerless. I was once a god, but the war of the giants and everything basically stripped me of the power that I once had. Now, we were supposed to be elevated by the marriage of that pedophile, but that didn't happen because he slipped and fell, and it doesn't appear that any of them know, except for the oldest sister, that Medusa was actually there. She seems to get elevated, but she's basically walking into the lion's den, basically. And it just smacks of the lies. Again, this goes back to what's going on now. Old Forehead basically has a temple which was called America's Next Top Model. That was her temple. She basically lied to attract and get the ratings and to keep the show for almost 20 years. But she turned into the overseer. She used the same tactics that were done against her to get her lit back to an industry that truly treated her badly. It was never her, Tyra Banks' intent to basically was altruism. And I suspect that the same thing was Athena. She knew what she was, even though she was an immortal and Zeus's favorite daughter, she still was a girl. And she basically probably still subscribed to the same brutality that ruled the Olympians. So the same thing and trash. And she said her own brother was a bore. Now that she had her own temple, I bet she subjected those potential priestesses to the same debauchery and trauma that she was subjected to. Again, privilege is not protective. Your privilege is not going to protect you from predators, from injustice, from brutality and abuse. And she, I think, is going to exemplify that. I can only suspect. No, I'm not all that into Greek mythology, but I can only suspect what is actually about to happen as this story unfolds. And again, Ayana Gray does it beautifully. But wow, girl, she basically is running so far, trying to get away from this island, this gilded cage, and then running into another prison. Because what could potentially have happened to her with Mayhair, that she escaped, she's not going to be able to escape the abuse of Athena and Poseidon. That's wild to me. Apologies to Henry Mancini, but a riff on the Pink Panther theme is in alignment with a podcast segment dedicated to a fictional PI and all about true crime, or fictional crime in this case. Don't you think? It is really hard sometimes to be locked in or, just involved or invested in these shows, I should say. The first thing I have a difficulty being invested in is a show that shows people interaction with the Department of Corrections, and then they have shown why the person is incarcerated or after. This season's of Love While in Lockup, or whatever this show is called, have a bunch of characters that don't realize that we are watching the demise of their self-esteem and subjected themselves potentially further charges being filed against them later on. This one lady, which I was very confused about. I was like, okay, he's taken knowing that how you get your money, and then you don't want her to do the very thing that she gets her money for. What? He's trying to be controlling from behind bars. You ain't controlling shit, bitch. You trying to force her to go legit, but you still want your money. So you subjecting her, you're scamming her, because that's what it's looking like. First, she lays up in a brothel, which is legal in Nevada, makes $5,000 after a week, and she has to give you 3 G's. Now you're acting like her pimp. For real. She has a son, and that's why some of these kids on these shows, why all of them look special. But anyways, I digress. She gives you $3,000, doesn't do the content to make up the difference, and then you moping about, and not only do I want $3,000, I want you to give me 6 more. The $3,000 you want to be used to set up an illegal commissary store so you can double that money. And then you want her to send you another $6,000. Where are you supposed to get that from, bitch? Then you want her to send you more money because you have heard this great tip from another inmate about crypto trading. What? Does that sound crazy to you? Is any of this locking in? Number one, those commissary accounts and even a prison trust account, an inmate trust account, the charges on those accounts can be outrageous, up to over 50%. So the money that you're sending them, the prison could be taking half out of fees. Furthermore, most prisons don't explicitly allow them not to trade stocks, but they have to use phone calls, and they have to have somebody that's trusted on the outside, like a trusted broker, doing that type of activity, not just some your homeboy on the corner. That's the same thing with crypto. It's more complex, and you actually need direct digital access. Self-directed brokerage accounts are not allowed in the Department of Corrections, federal or state. The internet access and freedom of usage that is required to be able to trade in crypto is also not allowed. Either you basically have to have somebody trusted on the outside to do the trade for you. How the hell you gonna get them the money? And who actually has access to the account that person is not going to get ripped off? It is sounding scammy from all levels. Number one, you don't have it. Number two, it will put you in a financial bind. Number three, stop listening to that shady motherfucker because he is lying. Literally, nothing he's saying is legit. First, he got you out here using the video access account of a former girlfriend because somehow your access, this is Emily, access get cut off once they find out that you were formerly a prison guard. Number two, you're sending him all of these thousands and thousands of dollars after he basically doesn't want you to do content, doesn't want you to do the very thing that supports you and your son and him. So I don't get it. It's not, none of what he's saying is practical. All he is saying is not legit. It reeks of scam. The prison is going to seize all the money that you sent him and shut down his commissary account because legit, he's not supposed to be doing that. And let's just back up. We are not, the audience is made up not of just petty people like me and petty sleuths like myself. These shows are also watched by state and federal authorities that watch these shows. They take in notes and they looking at where these people are locked up and they getting ready to have some type of contraband penalty against them. So y'all are not slick. Okay. Also, Damon and that goddess, I want to almost feel sorry for her because she does have a daughter and the mama because she ain't slick. None of them are slick. That Bonita got all of y'all. And I almost would feel sorry for her if she was absolutely likable. How you gonna take the man, get his trust, and then sell his stuff? I think she sold it long before he even, because he has 4 baby mamas and she's just one of the pack. I think she knows what can he do about it. But again, the Alphabet Boys watch these shows. He probably let it stay with her. Well, and put her at risk. I was thinking about why he wouldn't let his mama stay, but he kind of felt that would be probably one of the first places that the people, the federales, would go looking for anything of worth to get restitution, because I'm sure he owes thousands, hundreds of thousands of restitution to the state. Meaning He wanted to have a little stockpile of stuff. So because he was down for a while, he gets out, he wanted to be set up. He left it with somebody he could trust, but also kind of putting her in danger. She thought, I sold it, I can keep him, stringing him along, knowing that, again, they taking notes. So the Cartier bracelets, all that designer stuff, and the card that you sold probably adds up to somewhere between 50 and 60 grand that you cannot prove that wasn't gotten with ill-gotten gains. So not only are you going to get penalized for that, it's the clawback of it all. There's a penalty for using that money, the money that you got from like selling those ill-gotten gains. You could actually get in trouble for that. And aiding and abetting. So you looking at more charges being slick. And she's not slick. She's not smart. None of these people are all of that smart. They kind of slick and got a little bit of street smarts, but the bottom line is all of them are going to get got by the same system that basically they've been tangling with and illegally with before. And while you jip jiving,
It makes no sense. I'm not sure. It makes no sense.
so they all got something to hide. They all are going to potentially be going to jail. And God has got more to lose. She got her shop. She got her daughter. And she is self-sufficient. Why are you holding on to somebody that's trying to sell you a pipe dream? Bonita and your empathic thieving self, you gonna get got, girl. You thinking he's not gonna say anything because he was not supposed to be hiding from the feds. But the feds watch these shows, you dumb hoe. That's the thing that really, really bothers me. And I'm sure if she would listen to this, she would know that I still think she's really stupid. Because you think you're going to get him back and you got away with it and you doing all these things, stupid stuff, putting an extra log, not letting him come to the house because you already sold stuff that was probably gotten with drug money or whatever. Girl, shut up. That's why the prison, you trying to hip and high, but you're going to be right in the next women's cell for doing shady mess. You can't be shady and be outshaded by the federal government. They play the long game, they take notes, and they petty. The petty McBetty. So this show for entertainment, we're watching these people rack up charges. We're watching them look desperate and crazy. We're watching them in real time get played and think they're still playing the system, but the system is just taking notes, getting their charges together before they file, and all of y'all are going to go down. I say this and I say this. Look at Apollo Nida of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Look at Teresa Goodeyes. Shoot, look at Wendy Osefo or Real Housewives of Potomac. We are on this show. We are watching jailbirds still trying to do jail stuff on the outside, real time, and they're getting ready to stack more charges. It's crazy. Just to be on TV, nah. It's so dumb. It's so completely stupid. It could be almost comical. Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of unholy amount of information, ungodly information that's coming out on the reality TV world. And what better yet of using the instrumental of Unholy as I record on this glorious Sunday morning. I think it's only been a couple of weeks that this documentary has dropped. And I don't know how many people did not watch, like myself, did not watch America's Top Model. But I think I'm one of the millions. And why now? Why did this documentary come out now? And why has this documentary created buzz for what it is? I'm going to tell y'all a couple of things. I did not watch America's Top Model when it was dropped in the 20s. You knew about it. You knew about Tyra Banks. But I didn't follow it that closely. It was long running. I did not know she was pushed out the last couple of years. All of the original OG Mean Girl crew, the two gays and the days, they were pushed out again towards the end. There was a lot of stuff I did not know about it. I did not know it came back in the pandemic where people, when we were on lockdown, people actually binge watch all seasons, and it became another sensation 20 years after it was first premiered. And I've heard a lot of things about Tyra Banks. I think she's controversial from her time on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I didn't even watch her show. So there are a lot of people were invested and now are reinvested, and they're calling for her cancellation, but the show's been canceled. It has been off air for years. And if you choose to watch it, binge watch it, streaming on a streaming service, watch it at your own, advisory, at your own suggestion. You know what I mean? This is the type of show that we're glad that we can binge watch, or you're glad that you can actually skip past, or you just don't watch it. This is one I'm going to have to give this one I'm not going to watch, because the real drama and reality was behind the scenes. The show wasn't what it seemed. This documentary, whatever Tyra's intent was to set the record straight, I don't know. A lot of truths and untruths were still expounded upon. So the whole thing was triggering, to use a nice millennial therapeutic term. If you don't want to be triggered, but you want to see some righteous indignation, but also some education, what I am going to suggest is that you tune to Centric, Blue Telusma's YouTube channel, the live that she dropped after this show premiered last week, and I would watch that. Blue Telusma actually has her own dealings with someone that was so beautiful on the outside but was pure trash on the inside. She's supposed to actually drop that in the upcoming week, I believe, because maybe I'm off. Maybe the documentary dropped, she did this, and I'm almost 2 weeks out. It may actually be available. But for the purposes of my opinion on this documentary, this is one of those docs. I watched it once. I'm glad I'm not going to be able to watch it again. I think there was a lot of things. There's so many glaring inconsistencies, and just it felt like it was more. And Blue, in her ever wise ways, said it perfectly. How can something so shallow still be so dark? Because this is what that is. But there is supposed to be a follow-up documentary that's being produced by E! That's supposed to be coming out in March. If you want to know even more, an unfiltered version of this, some of the people that were left out of this documentary, because anyone that talks negatively about Tyra Banks, you get canceled. Or you're so racist and crazy, you don't care but your view as an upfront racist crazy woman, Janice Dickerson, is going to add a whole different dynamic to what that show was, and what it was portrayed to be and what it actually was. There's a very interesting meme say that she was rooting for her. Rooting for this one model that she basically shredded. This is Tyra Banks now. That why she was just basically a demon. She basically portrayed this show was to give models of a different color, size, hair texture, a one up in the business, but it was never about that. It was about Tyra Banks's ego and about her getting her licks back on an industry that treated her foul. She was never rooting for any of those women. She wanted to basically prove to a lot of people that Tyra Banks, could not produce a show about models. Nobody but bit except for Janky UPN. And yes, the show did put it on the map, but it put that network on the map for a lot of the wrong reasons. Number one, Tyra Banks said she wanted to increase self-esteem, but she used the same tactics in a Django kind of way that were used against her. And most of the stuff was out and out lies. She wanted to prop up plus size women, but she made them starve themselves to death, and they didn't have clothes to actually fit them, so they had to do these crash diets and ended up jacking up their metabolism anyways. The people were put in danger. They were subjected and forced to have elective procedures. And because of the cachet of that show, the only person that benefited truly from that show was Tyra Banks consistently. There were one-offs like the Eva Pickford of the world or Marcel's of the world, but there wasn't a lot for a show that ran over 20 seasons and had 20 some odd winners, not a lot of those women went on to the same notoriety and fame as Tyra Banks. The only one that benefited was Tyra. And what happened between her and Jay Manuel, Miss J, and Nigel was crazy. And she basically admitted to being out and out. She was going to get what she got, and she was going to give dust to everybody else. Jay Manuel and Miss J were allowed to be mean girls the majority of the run for over 18 seasons. And then when the chips went down, the show was going to go, when it switched, not only switched networks from UPN to like the WB, I believe, and also the management, the president of it changed. So they said the gays and the theys had to go. And they wanted to see where they could get more eyes on this very expensive broadcast. So her friends, she let go. However, Jay Manuel was special. He said basically when he saw some nonsense in season 8, knew wasn't right, even though they had made promises to each other. When he said he was ready to go, basically, Tyra Banks left him on red and then had her representation get back to him, said, if you try to leave, I'm going to get you blackballed. So he basically came, giving up any kind of say in any real friendship, and stayed with her to the detriment of his own career. I did not know that he was working with Iman and her husband at the time. So he was already a big deal pre-Tyra Banks. And he gave up all of that to basically become a side bitch. Oh well. And the one Miss J that was allowed to clown the girls and teach the girls to walk. How fascinating that he has a stroke in 2022 and the only people that are by his side are Jay Manuel and Nigel. didn't hear from Tyra Banks, text or otherwise, until basically this documentary 3-4 years later basically premiered. But has she been to visit him, even though he taught the world to walk, and now can't walk? He's wheelchair bound. Nigel is an iceberg. He is the middleman. He truly is a straight man. He's still working in fashion and producing the most amazing, artful shots, but he has not really worked with her or any iteration of that type of show since his firing back in what was it, 2017, 2018? Or maybe it was before that. In the show, that's what I like about Blue. Had the receipts up until, even almost with timestamps. And she just wanted to portray the idea of the show was good, but it was just what Eva, she's the most level-headed one. She said, I knew it was the show. She played the game and gave her the diva moments, but she basically is the only one that basically let it go because she knew it wasn't all, or her experience was so different because she was on a show and that's all it was to her. You know what I mean? However, she was on, I forgot which cycle that she was on in one, but the early years was just a testament to depravity, to say the least, as well as downright abuse. And I'm wondering if the statute of limitations has run out in a lot of respects. But look at Shandy. Shandy, they basically caught her date rape on camera. And it was that, and then you got Tyra Banks in her forehead basically twisting it and saying that you shouldn't cheat on your husband, your long-term boyfriend, who basically they also taped him breaking up with her because her date rape was shaped as cheating. The people and she had no one to turn to. She was out here in these streets. She famously said she hated working in Walgreens. And then they get to Milan and she gets blotto drunk and they basically show her from the shower to her bed being violated by another model. Nobody did anything. That's when she wanted to bounce. She begged them not to talk about it. But what did Tyra do? She brought her on the talk show and basically went and asked her, dead ass, asked this girl, so why are you looking down? Because she hadn't seen it, wouldn't rewatch the scene. She was made to look up and watch her rape in real time. And you're asking this girl and you're just sitting there like, well, that's how it was. No protection. I watch Below Deck religiously. Watch all iterations of that show. There was a Below Deck Down Under where the bosun he was blotto drunk and one of the women also was drunk. She said she just wanted to go to sleep and water. She didn't know what was going on. The boat lost power. He basically went in there and tried to climb in bed with her. Production stopped and tried to make him come out, made him come out. And then Aisha tells the captain what is going on. They make him get up and go and sleep it off, sober up and go to a hotel. And he was immediately fired. There would be no way that in this world that, number one, that would make it to air, and the perpetrators would not show the perpetrators getting disciplined live. Now, there's a whole different sexual allegations of sexual misconduct by another bosun on one of the iterations of the show. But you better believe they'll probably settle that out of court. But you better believe I doubt if brother is going to be on screen going forward, even if Below Deck Sailing Yacht comes back. So I can't believe nowadays that what happened to Shandy would be allowed to proceed. Ebony being out, she was bald, and she was just basically degraded from them shaving holes in her hair from outing her as a lesbian, and then using that as weaponizing her sexuality against her. In this world, none of those things would be acceptable. That's why, and I firmly believe this too. I didn't know until this documentary. I did not know until this documentary that Tyra Banks does not even live in the United States anymore. She married a white dude and went to Australia. I did not know that she really did have a beef with dark-skinned women who all of us caught astray because Naomi Campbell, the supermodel of the world, found her annoying and probably threw her phone at her. So when she had a time of get back, she got back at all dark-skinned women, and they were treated so horribly on that show. So there are a lot of women that are like, F Tyra Banks. I kind of get it now. I also knew that I was never invested in anything that she ever did because I thought she was putting on. I thought she had a big old 15 head, and I did not find her. I was just never invested in her persona. And now I have more reasons not to be invested in the persona, but I'm very interested in seeing that. I'm only seeing this stuff after the fact. I'm very interested in those that actually worked actively with her. What was their experience? And now that it's safe to talk, because number one, she ain't in the country anymore. I'm not sure what she's doing over. I don't know if she's in the fashion industry. I don't see her anymore on TV. So maybe now people will feel safe to come out and speak freely and truthfully about their experience. But that documentary was a trip, and even I do agree that it only brushed the surface of what is probably a mountain of crap. Because again, the show ran for 20 years. She's been working for 30 plus. I'm very interested in seeing what is now going to come out. More factual people with receipts. I'm going to reserve being able to promote this show. I would not view it, but I would view Blues Talusma's reaction and her opinion of this, just like mine. I'm only talked about this for about 20 minutes. Blue spoke for well over an hour, and she gave other details. I only touch certain things. The whole J. Manuel, Miss J, Nigel of it all, Shandy, Ebony. I only spoke about a few of those most triggering things. Blue basically gives it a breakdown. Either way, I would not watch this show. However, I will be doing a follow-up with the documentary by E that's coming out in March. Real Housewives of Potomac, they're going to roll into their second part, and I believe this season was such that multiple parts of it are needed. It's not like Salt Lake, because they had multiple sections of Salt Lake, but I think it's because them bitches needed the money. not because they needed or there was any resolution on anything that made sense. It was a bunch of arguing and getting people to try to take accountability when there was no accountability and nobody had no receipts. I'm not waiting to record this part of the segment because a lot of the teasers are really detailed. So unless something were to dramatically happen in this second part that is not anticipated, I'm probably just going to go ahead and leave it as is and then do a follow-up after I watch Monday Night Live with Carlos and Dustin and them, because I can't wait to record and process and put the episode together, waiting on 8 o'clock on Sunday. It's 6 o'clock now on a Sunday, and I think I'm very far behind. What I did gather from the teasers on YouTube was that Ashley is full of shit, and she stirs up the shit. And she's been allowed to operate really unchecked this entire season because Karen Huger was in the clink. But when you go back from her first time being on the show, she's always been allowed to operate like that. She was highly sexualized when she was married to the perv, Michael Darby. And then when she tried to get away from him, dragged it along for 3 years, finally getting a settlement after she had signed a prenup that even though it doesn't look like she was, they just, for whatever reason, irreconcilable differences, she almost walked away with nothing until they fought the validity of it. And she actually did get a good lawyer, and finally they settled on her 7-digit payout instead of 0. So with that said, she finally got hers. What I am going to be really interested in is how is Kiana or Kay going to answer to Jassie's accusation that she basically stole Greg from his wife? And is Greg divorced? And is that why he hasn't proposed? Because that fool, his dusty butt, ain't divorced. I got some questions there. Also, I got some questions who designed her flower arrangement of a dress. That look is not looking for me for Jassie. I like Kiana's dress. I like Wendy Osefo. She's wearing the hell out of that dress. And I really like Stacey's dress, because Stacey's going to bring it. It's going to be subtle, but it's going to be glamorous. I really like what she was wearing. Eeyore, all I kept yelling was, well, girl, shut up. I don't really have, I just not here for anything Angel has to say, because I do agree with those stinking feet, Ashley Darby, that she tried to be a confessional assassin, and she never said anything in the moment. You talk about performative. She seemed to be a little bit more performative, and she's not like Drew Sidora eating them up from the end of the couch. She was just sitting down there Eeyoring like she usually does. Tia, we were rooting for you, but she just seems shell-shocked, and her performance so far in the reunion is very lackluster. Giselle's going to Giselle. She's going to be shady, and she's going to look good doing it. I'm not so sure. I like the dress. I liked her dress last year more than I like this year's dress. But I think that she's just doing her job. She's clocking in. She's keeping it cute. She's keeping it shady. And she's going to get paid. She ain't going to storm off. She's just going to ignore you, tune your ass out, and keep it pushing. First lady all the way. Monique and her deconstructed artisanal dress with the leg bands. she's on some type of journey, and I think she had some happy Eddie. She's just truly very zen. And I'm here for it. She ended up bringing that labeled slam book that puts every kind of receipt to shame, is what we ask for the Bell Collective. If you're going to make those type of accusations, please have your receipts in order, because we're not going to be able to take anybody on their words. We're going to need proof, receipts, etc. So it really has started off as a good, hopefully they'll get to a point and some type of resolution before they basically pick up cameras again before next season. So I'm here for it. Even though I did not want to wait to record my opinion on Real Housewives of Potomac for tonight's episode, I think the next several parts are going to be just that, are going to be explosive and going to be more interesting in some respects. You know what I mean? Again, Latrice from Bell Collective, take notes. You need receipts, and your unwillingness to film with both, allowing your husband to film with Glenn and won't film with Latrice except to try to punch her out. Nobody is going to get really one notice, and nobody's going to be checking for that in a limited season run. So y'all need to get it together for real. Okay, so who's going to tell Latrice? Who's going to tell Latrice that this show probably is greenlit for 10 episodes or less before they're going to be forced to go on hiatus again? And the back and forth, or the lack of back and forth, and then the culmination to the fight over something he said, she said, shot John. Yeah, they're going to need to resolve this bullshit, because if she's going to need to come with the receipts, text messages, screenshots, or they're going to need to move on from this. Or she's going to need to be excused from filming, because what we have found out is that castmates that refuse to talk to each other or refuse to film with each other, they get gone quite readily. I don't understand why it would be tolerated. We are, what is this, the second episode of the Bell Collective, and Latrice is still walking around with her hip on her back, refusing to participate. I don't think she has enough going on in her personal life that she would be willing to actually film or put on blast. So if you're not going to film with your castmates and you have nothing else going on, then you need to kick rocks and move on. I would almost feel bad for her if I kind of felt that I always have kind of felt that she's secretive, and what people think of her really means a lot. And she would make a great reality star, but she's not really willing to reveal anything. And her husband, Cliff, he ain't about the shits. He's like, that's why he in Colombia. I think he prefers to be a support when he feels like it. And other than that, he don't want to be in the mix. Now, the flip side of that conundrum is actually Glendale, who is a whole conundrum. I firmly believe that Glendale sat when the show was on hiatus, barely talked, communicated with Latrice, and she went on about her business. And now, since the camera's up, he got a whole bunch to say. Haven't been affectionate in months, probably. And he walking around with his hips on his back because his homeboy is not talking to him. And he can't really be out in these streets because everybody's paying him dust. So now that the cameras are back up, his own wife she ain't with the shit. Letitia's like, look here. I got things going on. I don't have time for now. You want to kiss up on me and hug up on me and say, I love you, when the whole time you acting crazy. Or didn't say anything to me, have barely probably talked to me. And now the cameras are back up, you trying to put on a performance. I get you trying to clock in and earn your check, but at the same time, I don't have time for that. She actually is now moving into her best life. She's used the shows as a platform, as a springboard, and now she's moving and shaking. I didn't realize it. Now she's back in the bail bondsman game. She's doing a lot of things. And now that she's not dependent on you, now that when you should have been, or when she was your ride or die, and when y'all were portraying this perfect front, she doesn't really need to do that anymore because she got her own thing going. And now that he ain't out in the streets like that, and now you want her to be in the house with you, she can be when her jobs allow her to be. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to pan out, because I think they've been on the rocks since this show's last reunion. And I don't think I know marriages have their ebbs and flows, but it takes a marriage that has always seemed to be a little bit on the shaky side for them to come back from this one, because I think Glendale is isolated from the attention that he so craves. And now that his wife doesn't give him that same energy, doesn't give him that same, he's now crashing out, and we're watching it, and it's being taped the whole time. It would be sad if it wasn't so true. And I think Glendale represents a lot of dudes that were the men back in the day, that were hardworking, the sole provider. And now that the wife has moved into her own shit, instead of them playing a supportive, silent role, but when they themselves are still very attention seeking and maybe not where they want to be, now they are emasculating themselves. It's self-emasculation, bruh. Your inflated self-identity, now that it's been chipped away and you don't have that same worshiping and the same attention, whether positive or negative, now you're going to crash out. And it's really sad to see, but either he's going to need to pivot or she's going to get left behind, because him trying to make her dim her light and to pull her back is not a good look. They're going to need to figure something out. Also, Latrice and Letitia are going to need to figure something out, because their appearance on this show is going to depend upon it, because you cannot be secretive on everything. You got to give us something. If you won't film with her, but then you're not giving us anything in your life, why do you think you're going to continue on the show? This question is for Latrice. Nobody wants to see you talk crazy to your employees, 1 or 2 scenes. Nobody, that's not going to hit it. What about your interaction with this collective and your membership in this collective? What else you got? What else is going on? In the words of Cynthia Bailey. Oh, can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?